Hello and welcome to Console Shock, episode 53, Retro Modern Gaming Chat with me, Trev, and a certain Stu.
Hi there, Trev. How are you?
I am very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm really well. Yeah, I'm good. Looking forward to Easter. It's a smashing weekend.
Good weather finally. And all
it's
that.
good weather. It was all cold last week. I'm really pumped. I've got 4 days off.
You're going to live it up.
Life's good.
I'm going to live it up. I'm going to paint the town red by sitting at home watching telly.
No, I've got... Well...
Are you going to be playing those old video games?
I am.
I told you,
I'm still into my Xbox 360.
I love it, yeah.
And I've been playing all the old Halo games and things like that, really. And
those are
Gears of War.
Xbox games known as Halo and Gears of War.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good 8-hour first-person shooters or third-person shooters. That's what I want.
That's kind of what Easter break scream of, isn't it? It's the one chance we get to play all day if we're at home. It's perfect, isn't it, for that? We might have recognised the intro music, although
well, I didn't recognise it at all.
Yeah, as we're recording, obviously, I don't just play the music, which would be a bit weird in the background. But
yeah, I've got no idea what it's going to be. So,
have you played Sonic 2 HD?
I haven't.
Have you even seen this thing?
Is that the one that's made by the guy who made Sonic Mania?
It's actually not. It's a different project. It's not Christian Whitehead, I think is his name. Did Sonic Mania and the sort of Sonic CD ports that have gone recently to Steam and Xbox and all that. That are very good. No, this is another team, and just fans that have put together a remake of Sonic 2 in HD. It's freaking amazing. There's only about 3 levels that are complete on it at the moment.
Yeah.
But trust me, it's free to download. They're not charging any money for it. They're still working on it. But it blew me away when I played it because it's not like Sonic Mania isn't really a remake, is it? But they haven't tried to really do anything new with the level design or anything. The levels are identical, the layouts are identical, but the graphics are completely redrawn in HD, and it looks stunning, and it plays identically, which is brilliant as well. And it's only on PC.
It's quite funny. I'm actually on their website now, and I thought. Normally there's a download button, but this one I don't think their English is great because it says "Get download."
No, it's just they're shouting at you to get it.
Get download.
You have to get it immediately. But yeah, I would advise that you check it out because it is awesome. But in terms of the music, they've I don't know. I mean, there's credits at the end of the game and obviously on their website. But the guys that have done the music for it's awesome. It's very Richard Jakes, the guy that did like the Sonic R. We've talked about him on the podcast before, and Daytona USA Championship Edition and a ton of Sega games that he did, MSR on the Dreamcast. It sounds very reminiscent of him, but it sounds like the old music. It's not like Mega Drive sound chip. It's like modern instrumental kind of real sort of music, but it sounds awesome. It keeps within the spirit of the game. So yeah, check it out. But yeah, one of the Hilltop Zone is what the music is. So yeah, check out Sonic 2 HD. It's been out for a while, but yeah, I'm waiting for Sega to take it down. Although I think they probably would have done it by now. I don't think it's a secret. This
I think Sega are actually quite good about that. Really,
they're not bad, are they?
They don't.
Not like Nintendo.
No, they're kind of like, embrace this. As long as it's not, I think they'll probably have a problem if it's terrible, or Sonic is somehow running around with no clothes on and doing inappropriate things.
Yeah.
But if they actually embrace it and try and make it better, they seem to not have too much of a problem with that, really.
No, and they tend to recruit the people, don't they, that sort of make like
exactly. And did you notice also in the news? It came out earlier on today. There's 10 more games have been announced for the Sega Mega Drive Mini.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that thing now that it's kind of fully been announced?
To be honest, they announced the first 10 games, and I was like, oh yeah, they're really good. I want to play them. And they've just announced the next 10, which I'll quickly read out, which is Super Fantasy Zone, Landstalker, Thunder Force 3, Shinobi 3, Contra Hardcore, or Hardcorps, Hardcore, World of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, Castle Illusion starring Mickey Mouse, Earthworm Jim, Streets of Rage 2, and actually what we're just talking about, Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
That's a really good bundle of games.
I know there's 40 games on there. I was really impressed with the first 10, and this 10 are absolutely, I genuinely want to play all of those except for Super Fantasy Zone, and so that's absolutely great. So I just
the weird thing though, isn't there? There is one weird thing where the Japanese getting 2 6-button pads, and we're just getting a 3-button pad, which I thought was a bit odd. Well, I guess there's no games on it that use the 6 buttons.
Well, I think that's a bit of a spoiler that Street Fighter 2 is not going to be on it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's issues with, sort of getting a lot licensing and all that sort of thing. But I mean, the games that stand out for me, obviously the Sonic games, they're all brilliant. There's not a bad one on the Mega Drive. A Castlevania Bloodlines, or Castlevania The New Generation as it was to us, that's a brilliant Castlevania game. The only one that ever come out on Sega. Actually, they never made another Castlevania game. You've got Comic Zone, which is a good kind of very difficult beat 'em up. Gunstar Heroes, one of the best games. We really like sort of run and gun games. Contra, you just mentioned, is a really good running game. Very, very hard though, but a good game. I mean, Streets of Rage, probably that might be it's controversial, but there's an argument for that to be the best Mega Drive game.
It is the best.
I think it possibly is.
It's got much bigger sprites than the first one.
Yeah.
And the third one, people, it's rare, but
Yeah, I don't think there's any argument with that. Earthworm Jim, again, quite hard game, but very good. Shinobi, brilliant platform game. It's just a great selection, really. Yeah, the only things it's missing out, like you say, again, there's an argument that the Mega Drive Street Fighter 2 was probably the best version.
Yeah.
The Mortal Kombat games were really good on the Mega Drive, especially
Ultimate. There's still 20 more to be announced.
Yeah, some of them have done the rounds before, haven't they? And some of them haven't announced yet that have appeared on the last one, like just mentioned, like the Mortal Kombat games. They tend to throw all of them on there. There was 4 on the Mega Drive. Ultimate is really good. Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 is really good on the Mega Drive. Probably better than the SNES. It's got stuff that the SNES version got cut out. Loads of backgrounds were cut out and stuff, and voice samples that are in the Mega Drive version. So Alien 3, I think, was on some of the other ones. That's a really good game. Again, better than like the Super Nintendo version. So yeah, it's could be the best one out of all the mini consoles. I mean, the SNES Mini and NES Mini are brilliant.
Well, as long as this comes out and it's going to have a good build quality, and I'll just get quite frustrated if it, the sound's wrong, the video's wrong, it's not.
Yeah.
And that will just frustrate me. It's come on, guys, let's just do it properly. Let's charge 70 quid for it, and let's just get it done properly. And
I think it's worth it for the controllers. I'd quite like a USB.
Yeah, but that's it with the controllers though. They might make them the right shape, but they got to feel right.
Yeah, the D-pad especially, because you can feel.
They can't. They can't just go down the route. Let's make something that looks perfect, but actually on the inside it hasn't got it just feels all soft and mushy and just because people all just go off that and
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, talking about sort of the PlayStation Mini, I think I saw something flying around on Twitter the other day that there's shops in America now. They're doing it for $29.99 sort of dollars. So it's the equivalent of about sort of 23 £23, and at that I thought, well, I'll probably pick one up, have a bit of a go on it, and
to be fair, if you mod it, you unlock
you could do loads more with it.
Console. Yeah, you could add your games on. It was very disappointing. I mean, the PlayStation is probably my favourite console of all time. So it's disappointing that it's that it was so bad, especially when Sony, like we said before on the podcast, that they were actually kind of among the best in terms of the releasing, their old, being backwards compatible for old consoles and stuff, and being good at emulating that stuff. And they just ruined this. It's just bizarre.
Well, talking about the PlayStation and actually being backwards compatible, this week, I think the biggest news was they announced that they didn't call it the PlayStation 5, they called it the next generation PlayStation. I think that's right.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I'm actually really quite impressed. It's going to come out they're talking about 2020. That's what everyone's saying. It's going to have a solid state hard drive. What was it? A Ryzen Zen processor. They didn't mention how much RAM it would have, but the biggest thing, if you want to go down the sort of semi-retro route, it's actually going to be PlayStation 4 backwards compatible.
Yeah, I think that's a no-brainer now, isn't it? Because
it is,
Intel,
yeah.
Well, not Intel, but they're x86 chips now in the PS4 and the Xbox One. To be able to run the games that were built for those processors, if your new consoles have the same ones, just newer ones, it's not going to be too difficult. It's not like back in the day where the company would design their own CPU. Sometimes they get the help of an external contractor, like with the PS3 and the 360. They were power. Well, even they were just like PowerPC processors that Macs had been using for years. But it's difficult to be backwards compatible with those because if your new consoles are a different architecture, which they were, Microsoft obviously managed it with the Xbox One running 360 games, but it won't be like the PS5 appears to be, where that will just run the games. It won't be like a special list of 200 games that will work, and that's the only ones.
Yeah, and you have to download.
Yeah,
you might have to download a little patch just to sort of help them along.
Yeah,
I imagine, but I was generally like, oh yeah, I can't wait to see more about that. I'm gonna put my name down for that, and I'll be in the line for that shit, as they say.
I think if it could play games at 4K and 60 frames a second, even
What? I don't know. I even heard someone talking about 8K.
I don't think the games will run at that resolution.
No,
I think really good upscaling for that because nothing can run a game at 8K. A PC maybe with four graphics cards, and even then it would struggle. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably sports games, you might be able to do it because they can run at 4K 60 without too much trouble. But most other genre of games, like Red Dead Redemption 2 runs at 4K 30 on an Xbox One X, and I think the Xbox One X is probably bursting at the seams to do that. But that'll be great if it can run. If all the games are native 4K. That's a big jump, even from the Xbox One X. I think the thing that impressed me the most was the hard drive access. I think Mark Cerny said that they loaded a level up on Spider-Man, which would take a minute on a PS4 Pro. It did it in 0.1, half a second or something. Yeah, which is crazy. It was literally as fast as the data whizzes around inside. There was no bottleneck from. So that was absolutely amazing. 0.8 seconds, apparently.
Well, I think that's what you've got to you got to think about, that you can actually get a lot of huge performance.
Yeah,
from having a solid state hard drive, and realistically, they're still more expensive than a traditional hard drive, but actually they're getting a lot cheaper now. So to put one into your machine, and that's what a lot of people think. If you can. You can get all the textures and things so much quicker into the game. That will just make the performance, appear faster, if that makes sense.
I'd love to see a wireless VR headset as well. I know they're starting to come out now. Like there's a HTC one that's wireless. That would be great to be able to. It'll make it far more casual to be able to play a VR game. You just have your headset that's you just dumped on your sofa next to you.
Yeah,
and just quickly pop it on, to plug cables in and change settings and stuff, and play VR games. I do like PSVR, but it's just not something that I kind of play very often because it's such a pain to get set up.
Well, my opinion of any VR system. I've never tried one, and if I was at a party or someone's house and they had one set up and said, Stuart, try this, I probably would, and I'd probably enjoy it, but I can't imagine myself actually going out of the way to, spend money on it. And
I don't think it'll ever be the default way of playing a game until it's like a pair of glasses that you put on.
Of course not. I mean,
yeah,
it's a little bit of a fad, really, and I sound like I'm living in the past, but I think the best way to play a game is, sitting on the sofa with a controller, playing a game. That's to me the perfect scenario.
Well, it's interesting now because obviously they've now thrown out there what the specs are. But basically means everybody else has got a baseline to beat now. So I don't know how far Microsoft are along on their next console. Normally, a manufacturer starts making their next console as soon as they finish the previous one, pretty much. So they might have a similar. I don't think there'll be that much of a difference, though. At best, it might be like comparing an Xbox One X to a PS4 Pro, but that's not anything where it's like. It's not like a Commodore 64 and a Spectrum where you would put the same game next to each other. It would look drastically different. It would just be like maybe
it's exactly. It's going to be very similar, but I think you're causing yourself trouble if you go out there and you announce all your specs. You're saying, "Oh, it's going to be this. It's going to be this. It's going to have this." Now, Microsoft. The obvious thing they should do is come out and go, okay, well, we'll make ours, 5% better. That's all. That's all they've got to do, and then everyone will be, oh wow, the new Xbox. I don't know, whatever it's going to be called, Infinity or whatever. That's going to be, that's a little bit better than the PlayStation 5.
I think what would be their advantages? I think I think they'll release multiple versions. There'll be we'll talk about it in a minute, but there'll be a disc version. There'll be a premium version that's got everything. I still think they'll release a laptop. I think they're planning.
Oh, that'd be a great idea.
It'll be expensive. It'll be kind of like the Turbo Express was.
Yeah.
The Turbo Graphics. It'd be, which was a very expensive but really cool. Well, it wasn't an accessory, as it was a full blown console. But it's not. It won't be the option. They'll literally all say, "We know that this is going to be, probably 500 quid." But it's just there if you want a portable thing for those people that want a portable thing. And it will play all the games that the regular one that plugs into your telly will play.
I've said this before. I sound like a broken record, but we all want sit under the TV and have an amazing console with super duper graphics, but somehow we can't spend more than £350 on it.
Yeah, I think that's probably.
But sorry to interrupt you, but it's frustrating because I'd actually like to have a console. It's what you said, is maybe come out with the next Xbox or next PlayStation that is 350 quid, but then come out with a super pro version or some X version or something where actually it's going to perform so much better. It's going to give you this amazing performance. And actually, it might be 600 quid, but actually you can store more games on it. You can, stream in 8K. You can do all these real great things. Have the ray tracing, and you can do so much more with it. But we somehow got to make sure the machine is £350.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it can really screw you up, can't it? Because we saw what happened with the Xbox One when it was like, what was it, 430 quid when it came out? 429.
That's true. But that's only because the
Kinect,
Well, with Kinect, and it's kind of almost got to be a bit more of a sort of maybe a bit of a united front. Let's have a machine that's really pushes the boundaries. Really, it's got all the latest tech in there. That's got the equivalent of a 2010 Ti, a 2080 Ti or something in there, or whatever it will be in a year's time.
Well, you're basically describing, it wasn't a difference in terms of graphics, but when the 360 came out, there was there was the core version, which was like 200 quid, wasn't it, or something? and there was the premium version. I think the difference was really just had a hard drive and a few little weird things like a silver thing on like the disk tray and stuff like that, which sounds a bit silly. And you got a wireless controller instead of a wired one.
That's right.
Do that, to be honest. You can maybe put a slightly better version of the graphics card and the CPU in there, so some games get a boost. And basically, what the difference between an Xbox One and a One X?
A One X is. So I've gone for a One X, but I think there's still a. They should still have a machine around the £300 mark. But imagine if they had one at the £500 mark as well. So you sort of had a choice of which one you wanted to go for. And there was obvious benefits to getting the larger one or the more expensive one, and there wasn't just that's just more expensive just to be more expensive. It actually gives you something you can really sort of get your teeth into. But I sort of moves on, I guess, to the other news. I was so positive about the PlayStation 5, but then Xbox came out with the the Xbox One S download
digital edition.
And everyone's calling it the Xbox One Sad Edition. It was all digital edition.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
and I was going to do a tweet about this, and it really sort of pissed me off that you can buy that it's come out at 250 quid over here, and you can actually buy an Xbox One S with a disc drive for 189.
It makes absolutely no sense.
I know. And when there was rumours about this a month or two ago or 3 months ago, I thought to myself, oh, brilliant. Oh, that's not a bad idea, because it will come out 150 quid, 129 quid, something like that. And then loads of people, all the Fortnite players will buy it, or the people who like play Apex Legends or Minecraft and things like that. They'll buy it just because it's such a great price. But I don't know. They've just messed it up.
Yeah, you're paying more money for less. I mean, you're paying
100%.
Like you can't run the games off a disc. What I think they should have done, it should have been a shade cheaper than the Xbox One S by about maybe 20 quid. But you get included a year's Xbox Game Pass.
Oh, there you go, nailed it. You should work for their marketing department.
Well, yeah, I mean, God, they're in pretty big trouble if I'd have to work. Need my help. But yeah, or either all be the same price as the Xbox One X and include or even just be £10 more and include a year of Game Pass, because then you've instantly got games to download the moment you plug it into the telly, and then you're not feeling the pain of not being able to buy a disc and put the disc in. So it's a good idea on principle, but with the pricing they've just screwed it up. No one's going to buy that. If you're a mum going into a shop to get an Xbox One X for your kids for their birthday, and you're looking at the two versions, you're going to say to her, I can only imagine a sales assistant will say, she'll be like, which one should I get? I don't know which one's better. They'll just probably say, to us, you should get the regular One S, because if they have games on disc, they can play those. Yeah,
they can play their friends' ones, and they might download 50% of their games.
Yeah, you've got both options, though. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And why would you not want sort of both options? And then it comes down to the actual look of the machine. It just looks like an Xbox One S.
Yeah, I mean,
without the disc drive.
Yeah,
and I watched Linus Tech Tips. They did not Linus Tech Tip, Austin, the other guy, Austin, and
I know what you mean. Yeah.
He did a teardown. He took it all apart. And
hey guys, it's Austin here.
Yeah, that's the fella. Yeah, he's got some silly moustache going on at the moment. I can't really look at him. And they take the lid off the machine, and on the right is the great big processor with a massive fan on it. At the back, there's a great big hard drive, where you store all your games, and then there's just a massive, great big gap where the disk drive should be or was, and there's even a spare SATA socket. So it was and he said, oh, maybe I could just plug in a portable Blu-ray drive, and now I can run discs.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, it should have been probably a bit smaller as well, because, like you said, it just
Well,
looks like an Xbox
exactly.
One X with a bit of tape put over the disc drive. You know, it's
Oh,
just,
did you see that stupid video that they did?
yeah, it's just people are just taking the mick out of it, you know, because it's just such a silly. When I heard they were going to come out with something like this,
Mm,
it made sense, but the pricing has just killed it. But yeah, it's just.
yeah.
Yeah, no one's gonna. I think it'll be a bit of a failure. They'll probably have to drop the price pretty quick, or at least bundle in the Game Pass. One thing they are doing that's good is they're combining. They're doing a version of Xbox Live sort of subscription
Mm,
that combines the Game Pass.
that's right. Yeah.
About £3 or something each month, which is good. 'Cause it makes no sense to have both of these
Mm,
really as a separate thing. I mean, I think Game Pass is great. If you don't have to have the most games that come out, I'm happy not to have, you know, probably nearly all of them, not straight away.
mm,
Unless it's a franchise that I'm super bothered about. But these days, I mean, you only got to wait a couple of months now, and they get super cheap. And now you probably only have to wait 5 or 6 months, and it will probably end up on Game Pass. So
yeah.
you know, you could just live off that forever, really. And then
Mm.
something like Red Dead Redemption or Grand Theft Auto, which is sort of, as that's a game I would want to play the moment it come out.
I
Then I
can't see
get
them
onto
being on
that.
there for a while.
Yeah, exactly. You're probably looking at, they want to squeeze as much money as they can out of them. But something like, you
Exactly.
know,
Exactly.
the most recent Pro Evo came out on it a couple of months ago. So you know you
Mm.
have to buy that, you know, separately if you're happy to wait a few extra months. And I think all the Tomb Raiders are on it now. So yeah, I think it's really good value for money. You know, and I think Sony need to come up with something to equal it. And Nintendo, I mean, they've got the principle there with their playing NES games, but they need to do way better. They need to start putting N64 and Super Nintendo.
Yeah, we saw
Really
the
make it work.
modern retro gamer,
Yeah,
the Australian guy who lives in America.
modern vintage game
Yeah,
gamer. Yeah.
modern vintage gamer. He did a video because he's had loads of his videos sort of taken down because they're all about
Hacking a Switch.
hacking a Switch. And so they've gone on there and go, oh, look, you know, you've put Super Mario Kart or Mario 64. That's all. That's, you know, that's not allowed. We're going to claim this video. So I think they're actually planning to do that, putting all those
Yeah.
games on there.
Well, if they get up to the level that they got
Mm,
with ultimately with the Wii in terms of the virtual console, it was by far the best sort of retro game, you know, library that had, on any of that sort of generations on the 7th gen
mm,
consoles. There was literally about, there was a couple of thousand games or something, I think, in the end before it
mm,
shut down. I mean, if you
mm.
paid the fee that you pay at the moment for the Switch Online, and it had and they were able to get that amount of games on it, I think it'd be a no-brainer. I mean, you could.
Yeah.
I would play
But do
Mega
you see?
Drive on it, and, like, you know, Turbo Graphics and NES and SNES. I would play all those games. That'd be awesome to have all that.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think it's one of those things. The service is slowly going to improve, but one thing I did notice on my Instagram feed, I just got for some reason bombarded with, maybe it's on Twitter as well,
Instant
bombarded
grammar.
Instagram, yeah, and everyone were all these adverts from Nintendo and Twitch saying, "Hey, if you got Twitch Prime, you get Nintendo membership for free."
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird
And
partnership.
I was like, oh God, what was it? Only 6 months ago, if you stream Nintendo stuff, you got a letter from a lawyer,
Yeah,
and you know your hands cut off.
yeah. They'll give you a
Um,
free membership, but you're not allowed to stream any Nintendo.
but now they're almost like, oh, no, please, please, please stream our stuff. We've actually realised that makes people want to buy it more,
Yeah,
which was obviously a little bit of a no-brainer.
yeah. It's just it's weird. I mean, they've got to improve that service, and I think as well. I think they're going to have a new Switch console. I mean, I'm kind of looking forward to them bringing out
Mm,
something that's about the size of a Vita. I'm not bothered about it not being able to dock. Um,
mm,
but I would actually, trade in my Switch for a smaller
yeah.
one, because I can't really take it's just too big to carry around. I mean, it's very thin, but you can't like a Vita. You can put in your pocket. You know, it's even that is a bigger handheld console, but the Vita's about as big as you'd want a handheld console to get. I think it's about the biggest you want to get. But that's the perfect sort of form factor. They can keep it as thin as the current Switch is, but make it about the size of a Vita. Keep the 2 sticks on there. Not bothered about it being Joy-Cons. It can all be one integrated unit. Okay, yeah, actually, would be probably nice to keep the docking ability, just so you could still connect to a TV. I'm not sure that's something that is difficult to miniaturize more than it already is. So I don't think that's really a big deal. I mean, the PSP you could connect to a TV, you know.
I mean, I think it's all possible, and I think that's what everyone's talking about. There's going to be a Switch, I don't know, portable, and that will pick up the 3DS market.
Yeah, I think that's what they're going to go for. And Pro as well, I think.
Exactly, and then there'll also be a Pro model which will pick up. But part of me is, oh great, they'll bring out a Pro model which will be as good as an Xbox One.
Well, I think what they need to aim for is if they can aim for just the level of just a PS4, a regular PS4.
Yeah.
And a lot of those games on the Switch that already sort of dynamically jump around resolutions, they'll just be able to keep at 720p or keep at 1080p, depending on what mode you're playing in. They'll keep at that level, and then games coming out later will be able to sort of hit that higher spec. I mean, that would be pretty darn good if you can get something about the same as a PS4, but still backwards compatible with the older Switch games, but it just boosts them to run at their higher sort of, you know, specs that they can run at.
Yeah,
I think if it can do that, then that'll be pretty good going.
But when it comes to the Switch, and okay, yeah, brilliant. There's a Pro model now. What games will it boost? It will boost Doom. It will boost Wolfenstein.
Yeah, I mean,
there wouldn't be. You're not going to play Mario Odyssey and get a better experience. That's
in
just
theory. They've only got to like release patches, I guess. You know, if Mario Odyssey can maybe have a better frame rate. You know, I mean, it's like kind of like the expansion pack for the N64 in a weird way, isn't it? Where you plonk that in there, and some games you get a high frame rate option or a higher resolution option. If you got packages that could do that, that would be great. But yeah, you're right. Like Mario Kart isn't going to fundamentally change.
No, because I think games made by Nintendo and the way they're made, they're going to be they're at peak performance. They can't really perform any better than what they do. And people might say, oh well, you know, it could be a, you know, it might drop a frame or sort of something. It's going to be the Dooms,
exactly. That like the Assassin's Creed come out.
The Assassin's Creed 3 or something, and
ones that have hitching and things like that, or they have to drop down to sub HD. Those will get basically like when you play an Xbox 360 game and an Xbox One. Those games that struggle to hit 30 now consistently hit 30. They scale up to 4K if you've got a 1X. Basically, all of those things is what is going to be available to you, which is really cool. So I think I think it'd be great. Would I buy one? You know what? If I traded into the mini Switch or the Switch Lite, I would probably be happy to stick with that. Unless it got to the point where games started to be this needs the Pro. You know, and it's some game that I have to have. But your Nintendo games, the ones that they make to us, probably won't find that. Maybe like I don't know. Maybe if a Grand Theft Auto come out for it and it needed the Pro, then I'd be like, oh god, I really want to play that.
I mean, I like the idea of the Switch Mini, and the Switch is, I don't know, it's one of those consoles that at the moment it just sits underneath the TV and really doesn't do anything until the next big Nintendo game comes out for it. Then I'll get that, and it'll be an absolutely amazing experience.
It's a little bit like that for me. I mean, there's actually some games. The last time I played Outrun, because obviously they released that for it.
Did they?
Yeah, it was in the original arcade Outrun. It's great on the Switch. The Capcom beat 'em up bundle. That's really good. Played that on it. I've talked about before about Bloodstained. That's a really good like Castlevania. And I've just seen Turok has come out, the remake of original.
Oh, really?
Turok. Oh,
actually, I did see that, but
yeah,
with and this is showing my naivety, my lack of knowledge, is with the Switch. I go on there and I go, oh, what's in the store? Oh, what's being released this week? There'll be 10 new games. And I sort of look at them and I don't know what any of them are.
Yeah, a lot of them are quite obscure.
They're obscure
yeah.
indie games, which I think you go, there's one instance they've been released on Steam.
They're kind of mobile phone games, a lot of them as well.
Yeah, they're sort of mobile phone games.
They're often free on the phone, and you're like, £4 for the Switch version?
And I'm just like, oh, God, I don't know which one's good.
Yeah, I mean, none of those really appeal to me.
No, and there could be some absolute real gems in there. But then I kind of knew a lot of them were mobile phone games. And the problem with those is how balanced are they? Are you going to start playing it and then it's suddenly I don't.
But then you think like, why would I pay £3 for it on just to play it on the Switch when I could just download it on my iPhone for free?
Well, it's sort of a lot. I like the fact that the Switch has got buttons and it makes the games a lot more playable. But yeah, I totally understand sort of what you're saying. Is hold on.
The things that I've been playing though, things like I bought Ukulele.
Okay.
Great game to play on it. That's something you can only download. Be my bundle. That's also download only. Cuphead. I'm going to grab that when it's officially out.
Yeah, that's going to perform extremely well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which surprised me because I can't imagine it would struggle. But yeah, that often there's a little retro compilation like a Neo Geo game that maybe I fancy playing on there. I'll get that. But all these sort of like indie kind of like, with all due respect to the indie people, but there's a few like big ones like Bloodstained is a really good game. But that's
was it Dead Cells.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the more.
It's easy for you to say.
Yeah. There's that, and there's like I think Shovel Knight's on it again, another kind of Castlevania. Basically, if it's a Castlevania clone, I'll play it. Those sort of things. But for the most part, I'll sort of buy the games that come out on the cartridges. It'd be interesting to see what they do. But yeah, in terms of what we're going to be talking about today, that we've taken half the show to get to. We're going to talk about a much maligned add-on for a console we've already mentioned today, the Mega Drive. So we're going to talk about the Mega CD, aren't we, Stu?
We are, yes, yeah. I'd say not my favourite system.
It was expensive. It was a big chunky thing. On the side or the bottom of your Mega Drive. Let you play games on CD, didn't it?
Yeah, and CD was the future. And I don't know, it was just to me, well, let's talk about the history of it first, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's a sort of a quick overview of it is, I mean, CD games for consoles really started with the PC Engine, which had a CD add-on that came out in 1988, which is amazing when you think about it. So the PC Engine came out in 87 in Japan, and then there was a CD drive for it in 88. It's probably a better example of a CD add-on because it ended up with that where most of the games started coming out on CD because so many people bought the add-on. Whereas the Mega Drive, although we never saw the PC Engine, we kind of did, but we never really saw the PC Engine in the UK. They got it in the US as the Turbo Graphics. They got the CD drive as well, but it was very expensive, and very few of the Japanese CD PC Engine games come out. But Sega saw that, and they thought, well, we could do that with the Mega Drive. So they made the Mega CD, and that came out. I think it came out in 1991 in the US and in Japan, and we got it extremely late. We got it in 1993. And on paper, what it does is, to quickly sum it up, is it just allows you to play CD-based games. Actually came out in 92 in America, so quite late there as well. 93 here, April 93 here. out, and I think they sort of use the PC Engine CD as kind of, what they should be aiming for in terms of the sort of games that will come out. And for someone like me, and probably for yourself as well, who are into like new hardware, certainly growing up, I think it was quite an exciting sort of thing to be able to play games on CDs. Trouble is, I think it was very expensive. I mean, God, it was about nearly £300 just for the Mega CD on its own.
That's right, yeah.
Not factor in that you've spent over £100 for the Mega Drive itself that you need. So you're looking at, 500 quid nearly for the whole 500 quid for the whole set. And to be honest, I mean, there are some really good games. There's about 200 games came out for the Mega CD. So quite a lot in the sort of, 3 or 4 years that it was supported. It kind of died completely around 96.
That's right, yeah.
So it was about 4 years that it really was a viable platform. But you got about 200 games. But the trouble is, it was kind of marketed for its FMV games. Now, what do you recall of those, Stu?
Well, they were just. I think when you're young and you look at them, you go, oh wow, you're in a movie. You're affecting everything. You think it looks phenomenal. You're very wow, this is amazing. But I think when you actually play them, you just realise there's no depth to it. There's no. Oh, actually, I'm not controlling a movie. I'm just choosing what scene to play, and then if I make a mistake, I just choose the other scene.
There's not much actual gameplay, is there? Really?
Yeah, they really lacked gameplay, and some of them were sort of 3D shooters, and you looked at it and wow, it's amazing. But it was just a video in the background, and you were just shooting sprites on the top.
Overlay,
that's what I was playing before.
Yeah,
and things like what was it? Dragon's Lair. There was lots of games like that. It was maybe half an hour of QuickTime events.
Yeah, exactly.
And really, if you look back now of that whole time, everyone remembers Mario. Everyone loves Sonic. Everyone talks very fondly about all the RPGs, the this games, those games. No one really speaks that fondly about FMV games.
I think the best one is Night Trap. That's genuinely fun game to play. It's limited, there isn't much gameplay. Again, you're watching clips, and setting and activating traps when you see a bad guy show up in the clip, and then when you activate the trap, it just loads a clip of the guy being trapped, and then you move on to the next room to do the same thing again. It's a bizarre genre of game, really. But that was what was touted as being the main advantage over a regular Mega Drive, which you can play these games that have video in them.
Yeah.
But they kind of hedged their bets too much on those games. And obviously the video quality wasn't brilliant on the Mega CD.
It was very sort of pixelated, and but, that was what it was like then. And I can't imagine they could have got it any better. But what I remember about the Mega CD myself was it used to have, it had amazing sort of Mode 7 style mode. That sentence makes sense. And you got a little bit of that on Sonic CD, and a few other games sort of used it. And I don't know, they should maybe have used that a little bit more, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it did actually. I mean, unlike the PC Engine CD ROM drive, which didn't really boost the console in any way, apart from it just added CDs and it had a bit more RAM.
Yeah.
There wasn't any, it didn't add any extra like video modes or graphics sort of horsepower. Whereas the Mega CD actually did. It had another 68,000 CPU inside it, which was slightly faster than the one in the Mega Drive.
Okay.
So you have 2 CPUs now available to you. And it also added, as you say, it had like a Mode 7. It had it could do the equivalent of like the Super Nintendo Mode 7 sort of graphics, which were, and you would see those in games like Thunderhawk, a helicopter sort of flight sim game.
Oh yeah, that's another one.
Yeah, which was actually very good. And the Sonic CD, the bonus levels would use the Mode 7.
Yeah,
so something that the Mega Drive couldn't do on its own. And also, you would also get. I mean, one thing it didn't do was what it probably should have done was it didn't add any more colors. It didn't boost the color palette the Mega Drive. I mean, the Mega Drive only showed 64 on screen. I think one thing it should have done is it should have boosted that up to maybe at least match the SNES. It probably could have gone beyond it, to be honest, like maybe 4096 on screen or something. I mean, those FMV games would look a damn sight better with more colours available to them, far less grainy. But yeah, obviously, so you get the boost with the Mode 7. It could also do sprite scaling as well. So like your games like Outrun and Afterburner, it could do that much better than the Mega Drive could do on its own. But annoyingly, they didn't actually make an effort to release any of those super scaler games. Can you imagine what a great if they did like a compilation of Afterburner and Outrun and Space Harrier on a CD? Maybe that was what was bundled with it. That would be amazing because there's no console that could really do those games. Well, the Mega Drive versions are all right, aren't they? Of Outrun and Space Harrier. They're not quite the same as the arcade, but they could have. The Mega CD could actually have done that. So they missed a bit of a trick there. But yeah, so it did actually boost the sort of specs of the Mega Drive, and obviously you've got CD sort of music for a lot of the games. But then there was a thing where they'd often just port a cartridge Mega Drive game, and the only real bonus you would get is maybe you'd get a cool looking intro sequence or some really good music because it'd just be Redbook CD audio.
Yeah.
So if you already own the cartridge version of, let's say, like Earthworm Jim, there'd be no incentive for you to really buy the CD version unless you really wanted to listen to a cool remix of the soundtrack that sounded like real instruments. Very rarely would they custom build a game for the Mega CD. I mean, one good example that springs to mind is Terminator. That's an actual really different from the cartridge game, and it's actually really, really good run and gun game. You should check out if you've got a Mega CD.
Yeah, no, I bought yours.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh, it's another thing as well, wasn't it? It came in several incarnations. I mean, what do you recall of the different versions of the Mega CD that came out?
Well, I think you had three main ones, didn't you? Obviously, the original one, which went underneath the Mega Drive 1. So the Mega CD 1 went under Mega Drive 1.
Looks very cool as well.
And that one looks, I thought that's the best looking one. Actually, no, it's not. It's not. The one I've got is the best looking one. Yeah. And then you get the Mega Drive 2, which sort of goes to the side.
Still looks cool, to be fair. It's not. None of them are ugly, really.
None of them are ugly. And then I've got the Multi Mega, which is the Mega Drive and the Mega CD in one, and I absolutely love that machine. It's absolutely great, and it's really good. I mean, obviously, I'm on the Wikipedia page, and there was the Pioneer Laser Active, the Victor Wonder Mega, but then we're getting into sort of Japanese sort of variants here. But did actually staying on topic, but there was came out a few weeks ago, was that that Mega Drive made by NT Mini Mega Drive thing? Did you see that?
Oh yeah.
And that's
the Mega
uses,
yeah,
that uses an FPG chip. So basically they reprogram it all, everything the Mega Drive did onto one chip, and it's actually got the socket on the side, so you can have a Mega Drive 2 or a Mega Drive 1, and they stick this tiny little sort of Mega Drive onto the side of a Mega CD.
Yeah, it looked weird because
it looked really weird. It was great that it did it, and I was like, oh wow, what a feature! But bloody hell.
I mean, what I'm waiting for is, if someone could make like the Super SD System 3 for the PC Engine, which lets you play like the CD games from an SD card. Like make that, but make a Mega CD version. Although you know what, even then, I really like. I mean, I've got a Mega CD 1. I've got both. I've got all of them. I've got a CDX, which is the Mega of the American version.
The American one, yeah,
identical pretty much. And I've got a Mega CD 2 and a Mega CD 1. The Mega CD 1's the CDX is my favourite, but out of the traditional sort of separate units, the Mega CD 1's my favourite. So I use that as my main Mega CD. I'd actually be quite disappointed to actually have to give that up for just probably what would be a little small thin box that you'd probably pop on the side that you put your SD card in. But yeah, I mean, I think it's quite an underrated accessory. I mean, there's 200 games, a lot of really good games. I mean, like Terminator's one that I mentioned recently.
Final Fight.
Final Fight CD is probably the best version of Final Fight. That before we got to when they just put the arcade ROM on compilations later, that was the best version. Well, the other versions don't have the CD or audio soundtrack, which is awesome.
Now, on our Twitter page, I mentioned this week, right? We're going to be talking about the Mega Drive. What do you guys want us to talk about? And 2 people came back with the same thing, and that was Snatcher. Now, I've never played Snatcher. I was a little bit put off by the name. I thought it was a rude game. But it's the people, and I know one of the people who messaged me about it was Malcolm. And so, congratulations, Malcolm, getting married this week. And
congratulations, Malcolm.
There you go. Got a shout out, Malcolm. And he absolutely loves Snatcher, and he always talks about, oh no, I really want to get a copy of Snatcher for the Mega CD. Oh no, I absolutely love it. It's such a great story. And I'll be honest, I've never played it. But people speak so fondly about it, and it sells for maybe £150, £200, a lot of money. And I think that's the reason I haven't really given it a go. But what's your opinion of Snatcher?
So Snatcher's a Konami game. So it was in the 90s. Sort of Konami were at the height of their prowess as a developer. They made up some amazing games. Snatcher's obviously one of them. You've got there was the Metal Gear games. You've got International Superstar Soccer, Castlevania, Contra. The list goes on. But Snatcher was actually it's sort of a Japanese sort of. It's very heavily influenced by Blade Runner, where you play a kind of a Rick Deckard type character, like Rick Deckard from Blade Runner, and he has to hunt down these robots that disguise themselves as humans called Snatchers. Again, very much like the replicants in Blade Runner. But you do it in kind of a visual novel kind of way, almost like a point-and-click adventure, but not quite like we would think of a point-and-click adventure like Monkey Island is. Very much like a Japanese visual novel where you've got a list of functions that you can do, like move here, interact with that underneath a main window that displays kind of what your character is looking at in sort of stills. But it's it's animated as well. There's kind of voice acting. What makes the Mega CD version unique is, it was released on countless platforms in Japan. Snatcher. Obviously, also another thing I didn't mention, it's made by Hideo Kojima as well. Doesn't need any introduction, really. Obviously, Metal Gear Solid is probably his most famous sort of game. But this is another game series that he made, or another game that he made around that time. But yeah, in Japan, it came out on everything. PC Engine, the PC. So there was the Mega CD version, a handful of Japanese home computers that we never got over here. But the Mega CD version is the only English version that ever came out. So if you want to play this game, it's basically the only option is the Mega CD game. They've never translated any other version. It's also censored. It's quite a violent game. There's a lot of sort of blood and gore and stuff like that in there. So a bit of that was censored for the Western release. Always find it odd that in Japan they censor Mortal Kombat and make the fatalities go black and white. Yet they have games that are really violent that we then have to censor. It's just I don't know what the disparity is there, but anyway. So yeah, there's I'm aware there's obviously a PC Engine version that is everybody says it's the go-to version if you could pick one. Because the PC Engine could display more colours than the Mega CD, so the graphics are a bit better.
But didn't it come out on the Sega Saturn as well?
I believe it did, and the PlayStation in Japan. But I don't know if they're censored, so that's why people say get the PC Engine version.
Okay.
Whereas the PC Engine version is just not censored at all. I think the original version is maybe the PC version. So it's closer to that than the other versions, but it's Japanese and no one's ever tried to translate it. I think it's a lot more. I don't know if it's a more difficult job than maybe there's a lot of fan translations of Japanese RPGs. I guess because there's a lot of voice acting and there's tons of text in it. I don't know if that's a bigger job than what a lot of the Japanese RPGs that got translated by fans, like Valis and Ys and things like that have got English translations. So no one's attempted to do the original version and translate it. So at the moment, the only way to play it is the Mega CD version, which we got in Europe and the US. It's, like I said, it's very expensive. Obviously, it didn't get a huge print run. Came out late, I think about 95. So you look at it, if you want an original copy, I've seen them go for between anything between 200 and 400 quid.
Did I think I've mentioned this story before, but I remember once, I don't know, for one reason or another, I went to Streatham, and I was just walking along, and as you do, and I walked past a sort of an Oxfam, and in the window was a collection of Mega CD games, and one of those was Snatcher on the Mega Drive, and I was like, oh, this was maybe 6-7 years ago. It was quite a long time ago, and it was £95.
That'd be a bargain, really.
Exactly. And I sort of looked at it. I thought, Oxfam, what are you doing?
Yeah,
95. What Oxfam selling that for £95? Ah, blooming hell! And I knew actually it's worth £95. It's worth probably more than that. And okay, it's all
free, which is crazy.
So I wanted to pay 50 pence for it from Oxfam, but I would have bought it from a collector for £95, not a problem. But in reality, they knew what it was, and let's help the charity out, let's get as much money as you can. But there was the whole window was full of about 25 games for the Mega CD that were just like all the rare games that came out for it. What was it? JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, or some sort of shoot 'em up.
Oh god, what KO Flying
yeah, that's it. That's the one I'm thinking about. That was there. There was loads of good games, and I think if I bought all of them, I would have been about £1,000 worse off. But lo and behold, I walked past there a week later, and they'd all gone except for a couple of them. So people had bought them, and good on Oxfam. They earned a lot of money that day. So that's great.
I mean, looking at CEX right now, supposedly they have a mint copy of Snatcher in stock. They're charging £425.
400. Bloody hell!
I would be suspicious that was a legit copy, because you've only got to Google Snatcher Mega CD reproduction, and you'll see an absolute ton of places that will do it. I mean, most of those are good enough to write reproduction somewhere, on the back of the case or something. So you should be able to spot, one that's been made honestly. But someone, with a good quality printer could recreate. It's just a regular, double CD, double dual case. You've only got to recreate that, and you can probably find a loose copy of Snatcher, the loose disc, and just pay a lot less for that. Still be a decent price. Try and print the manual again. If you've got a good quality printer, and you could. I wouldn't say CX would be quite so discerning in terms of examining it before they go hand it over the cash. So yeah, that's what you're that's what you're up against if you want to buy it.
And also, one of the other things that came up on our Facebook on the Twitter page, Console Shock UK, not to be mixed up with Console Shock US. Actually, I don't know if there is one, but
maybe
the 32X and Mega CD combo games. So I think there was about four of these. I remember one was Scotty Pippin, one was Night Trap, which had a little bit of a higher resolution. So what's your memories of those, Trev?
We did actually get them in the UK, bizarrely.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I had them in the shop a few times.
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, in terms of the ones that are video based, like Scotty Pippin and Night Trap, it's just basically increasing the resolution of the video and adding more colours. And in fact, I can't really think of a 32X. I think they all just the FMV games. I'm pretty sure they are. I mean,
I've got a list of them. Here are all 6 Sega CD games: Corpse Killer, Night Trap,
Fahrenheit,
Slam City, Oh, Slam City. Slam City with Scotty Pippin. Okay, Supreme Warrior.
Yep.
Surgical Strike.
God, it's terrible, isn't it? Yeah.
Wirehead and Fahrenheit.
I would argue the only one that's worth getting out of any of them, although I've played Fahrenheit and it's actually not bad. Again, one of the better FMV games. I probably would say Fahrenheit and Night Trap. So they're the only ones that are really worth getting. The other ones, I mean, Surgical Strike is weird because it's a game that didn't fully get released. It only got released in Brazil.
Really?
Yeah, the 32X CD version. So yeah, I mean, again, you're looking at these they were probably made in absolutely tiny like numbers. I mean, again, I can look at CEX. I think we only got 4 of them. I think we got Supreme Warrior.
I think we got in the UK we only got 4, but around the world 6 came out.
Yeah. So you're looking at about a couple £100 for Night Trap to get a copy of the 32X CD. I mean, to be honest, they're not really worth it. It's there for collectors only, I think.
I'm 100%. So imagine these days if someone came out and said, okay, we're only going to release a game if you've got an Xbox 360, okay, it's got to have that. Then it's got to have a Kinect, okay, it's got to have that. Then it's got to have something else which didn't sell very well. And on top of that, you've got to have the Ark of the Covenant. And then if you got all of those things together, all plugged into one box, then you can play these 4 games.
Yeah, you're appealing to a niche of a niche of a niche.
Exactly.
All on top of each other. So the amount of numbers that those 32X CD games must have sold have been like probably the thousands.
Hundreds, maybe.
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, a regular Mega CD game, I mean, they sold around 2 million. You're not really going to get a game selling more than a couple of 100,000 copies, maybe not even that. I don't even know what the biggest selling game was. Probably
Sonic CD, I imagine.
Yeah, I think it'll probably be Sonic CD. It's a game that I come across the most. I mean, they're not difficult to come across. Mega CD games. Most places you'll be able to find them that sell retro games. But the one that I tend to see all the time is the 4-in-1. Was it 5-in-1?
Yeah, that came free with that was like a packing game, wasn't it? When you first bought it,
Yeah, kind of a bizarre release because it's just 5 really old Mega Drive games on a CD with some minor enhancements. Like it's got Streets of Rage 1, Super Mario GP, Golden Axe, and and Ranger Shinobi. So chances are you've probably got those on cartridge, and you're not getting any benefit. So you see that all the time. And then probably, Sonic CD, that even people charge, you can get that. It costs you about 40 quid, 50 quid for a decent copy. But again, it's fairly common. And then you're looking at games like Earthworm Jim CD and Pitfall CD, Mickey Mania, games that had a cartridge. Often you'll pay, double the price of the cartridge. Again, just because the print numbers would have been quite low. So yeah, it's a difficult. I mean, I collect for it because I love collecting for Sega. I haven't gone all out yet. I'm still focusing on sort of cartridge stuff. I mean, do you pick up Mega CD games?
Do you know what? The only one I've got is Final Fight, and I'm sort of thinking about which other games do I want to get, and the only one that really sort of comes to mind is Sonic CD.
Yeah,
and. Of the others, not really many are sort of, I really want to play that, or I want to play this, and there's not much else out there really.
There are actually a lot of good games on there, the Mega CD. I mean, I really love the Mega CD. I think I think anybody that has a Mega Drive should pick up a Mega CD because obviously they're a lot cheaper now. You can get them for between 70 or 80 quid. Not dirt cheap, sort of peanuts money, but it's definitely worth it, I think, if you've already got a Mega Drive.
So I'm actually quite taken by you mentioned earlier the Terminator game.
Yeah, I mean, there's I could go through a few that I really like.
Go ahead. Yeah,
like Final Fight, really good. Probably the best version of Final Fight that came out, in its time period. Better than the SNES version by a long way. That's a no-brainer. Sonic CD, quite possibly the best Sonic game, 16-bit Sonic game. So that's another no-brainer. Terminator, yeah, really nothing like the cartridge version. Similar sort of setting, of course, because obviously it's still the same film, but really great soundtrack on it. Again, CD audio soundtrack. Really good run and gun game. So if you like Contra and things like that, Midnight Resistance, it's a really good game. Mickey Mania, the CD version, is really good for that. Again, it is a little bit one of those ones where it's a port of the cartridge version, but you're getting a really good like CD soundtrack. I would grab that as well. Night Trap, again, that's a classic game, the best out of all those FMV games. Fahrenheit is quite good, another FMV game where you play a firefighter and you go out literally, fighting fires, as you'd expect.
Wasn't it called Celsius in the UK?
Yeah, they should have done that, really. But really good FMV game, really high quality FMV in there compared to the early FMV games. Mortal Kombat is a really good port of the cartridge version. Again, you're not really getting a huge improvement, but a lot of the voices that aren't in the cartridge version are in this. There's the animation. There's more animation on the fighters. It's got the soundtrack from the arcade game, just ripped straight from the arcade game as CD audio, so you get much better sound. I would recommend that. The blood is on by default as well. You haven't got to put a code in, which is always handy. And then you've got games like you got beat 'em ups like Eternal Champions. Really good. The cartridge version was really good, sort of Street Fighter style beat 'em up, kind of a hidden gem. The cartridge version is great. The CD version is really good as well. It's got extra characters and things like that. Really cool, sort of grim looking fatalities. Probably another FMV game, Dragon's Lair. I mean, you mentioned it already, but probably the daddy of them all. The Mega CD version is really good. Slightly grainy, obviously the FMV, but really good. In America, they got The Secret of Monkey Island.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah, so obviously if you like the Amiga or the PC, there's a Mega CD version. Really great to play. A little bit clunky with a joypad, but it's not bad. Loading times are a bit of a bastard, but if you were using the Amiga version, which was like 4 discs and would take an age for you to scroll over to the next chunk of the scenery you're walking over, there's an improvement on that. Mega Race, a really great game, kind of like a Running Man type scenario where it's in the future and you're in a game show and you've got to try and you drive a sort of a battle kind of car across sort of futuristic FMV landscapes, and you've got to fight other cars and destroy them to progress through the game show. Worth it just for the clips with the host, Lance Boyle. There are actually better versions of it on the 3DO and the PC, but the Mega CD version is actually quite good. I would recommend it.
What about one that I always sort of think about on the it's actually an unreleased game. What about Penn and Teller's The Infamous Desert Bus?
Yeah, what is it about that then?
I don't know. Someone mentioned that on Twitter. Also, maybe mention Penn and Teller's unreleased game that has the infamous Desert Bus. Now, wasn't that the one where you just had to control a bus across the desert, and it was more?
Yeah, you literally, isn't it? You're driving a bus through a straight road with the bus constantly slightly veering to the left.
Veer to the left, and if you did it for about 2 hours, you maybe got to the end and you turned around and did it again. But if you just left it going, it would veer off and you'd have to start again.
Exactly, yeah. And it was you had to do one. It was a road trip, wasn't it, from one part of America to another in real time?
Yeah.
But you had to basically babysit this bus as you're driving through the desert. Obviously, the scenery doesn't change. It's just a straight road, driving in a straight line, keeping the bus straight. But it's become a bit of a phenomenon, isn't it? They sort of, there's marathons of it, and there's sort of fundraiser things that revolve around people live streaming it. It's kind of become a phenomenon in itself. So yeah, that's kind of another kind of famous game. You've also got Star Wars Rebel Assault.
Yeah.
Famous early kind of FMV game with based on Star Wars.
Were the Wing Commander games on the Mega CD?
I believe one of them was on there.
Yeah.
I think it was. I can actually find that out. I haven't played it myself. Yeah, Wing Commander was on it. So yeah, again, that normally was a PC game. but you got a port to the Mega CD. You've also got Sylpheed, which is a really cool shoot 'em up. There's a really great port of Starblade, which is quite a technically advanced Namco arcade game, very reminiscent of Star Wars. It was basically an on-rail shooter. The version isn't too bad, although the enemy sort of spacecraft are kind of the ones that you can actually shoot and interact with, are sort of wireframe based, as opposed to sort of 3D polygons. But the backgrounds are just literally the 3D polygon. It's a video of the art. Well, I think the arcade version was also kind of a video as well. But yeah, that's a great port. You've also got Lords of Thunder, which is a awesome shmup port of the PC Engine shooter by Hudson Soft. Really, really good. Probably one of my favourite shoot 'em ups. The Mega CD version is actually it's balls hard on the PC Engine. The Mega CD version is slightly easier. You're given a bit more to help you out. And there's also some cheats that are in the Mega CD version that aren't in the PC Engine version that kind of give you cash to spend in the shop to beef up your ship before you sort of go into a level. So I'd recommend that as well. So, and there's also a lot more beside that. Jurassic Park, that's a great Mega CD game. A unique version of Jurassic Park isn't a port of the cartridge versions. So yeah, lots of unique games that make it definitely a worthwhile purchase. I mean, what are your sort of thoughts on the Mega CDs? That's our sort of final thoughts on it.
Yeah, final thoughts really. I think it was a good game. I think maybe it's held back by the FMV games, and I was always a little bit disappointed with it, and I always felt that the Mega Drive was so good, and then the Mega CD was £270 or whatever it was. So it was a hell of a lot of money extra to have, and I never quite saw the value of it really, But going back there, I'm dying to try some of these games now, because that's the great thing about being a retro collector. All these games are available to you to play years later, and you can just go out and get them. You haven't got to go, oh god, there's nothing out at the moment for it. I've got to wait 6 months till that one game I want to play. They're all already all out. So that's
it's a great thing as well. I mean, with it being an older sort of CD console, if you just want to try out a game, you don't want to spend £400 on Snatcher. You can just burn a CDR and it will run on a Mega CD. There's no copy protection. So yeah, there is region protection. So you might have to make sure you get the if you're looking for an iServer game, I'm not going to tell you where to find them, but if you're looking for them, make sure you get one that matches up with the region of your console. If you haven't got, one that's got a region-free hack or a 60 hertz or 50 hertz switcher or a different BIOS.
Yeah.
But if you get a Mega EverDrive, the cartridge that lets you run, ROMs off the cartridge games, with those you can actually sort of make your Mega CD region-free because you can actually load up a BIOS from a different region.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But just be aware that doesn't make your console like 60 hertz if it's a PAL console. So you might have some glitchiness with games that are intended to run.
It will just still it'll play the games, but there could be a few little problems.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But that's one good way to make your Mega CD region free if you don't want to go in and solder in any mod chips or anything, is to get yourself a Mega EverDrive. But yeah, you can run games off CDR. So it's a better value proposition now than it was when it came out, I think. It probably should have come out maybe a year earlier. It probably still would have been expensive, but at least if you had a longer run, probably would have had a chance for more games to go on it.
I think they maybe missed a trick, or I can't really remember the pricing, but because they bought out, like Nintendo bought out the Famicom disk system, so they could basically make the games cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, it's a myth that add-ons, are doomed to fail. I mean, the PC Engine CD was massive and kind of became the default, platform for games to come out for the PC Engine, when you got into the middle of the 90s. And that could have happened with the Mega CD. I think if they just didn't really release the 32X at all and just maybe focused as them on the Mega CD.
But I think if they actually came out and said, oh, here's the great new game on the Mega Drive. If you buy on the Mega Drive, because it's on the cartridge, it's £40. But if you buy the CD version, it's 25.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's got the CD quality, the Red Book audio on there, and the CD version is actually, it might have a few extra levels on there. So things like that, I think would have sort of done wonders for the machine.
Yeah, I think So, like I said, if it come out a year earlier, the price would have been difficult to do anything about because it was new technology. But I think a year early would have helped. Better bundles, having better games included with it. Like I said, if they made use of the sprite scaling, extra hardware in there, they could have released a compilation of the Super Scaler games, which would have been, a great thing to bundle in at that point in time. I think if they didn't release the 32X, they were very worried that they needed something to bridge the gap between the Mega Drive and the Saturn. I think they already had that with the Mega CD. I think that already bridged that gap. Okay, couldn't do 3D polygonal games, but I think what you got, the extra stuff that you got with the Mega CD, I think was probably fine to keep it going until the Saturn came out. I think they should have focused on that. Maybe making an all-in-one Mega Drive and Mega CD unit, like NEC did with the PC Engine, like a Mega Drive Duo almost. Maybe if they introduced something like that at a cheaper price, that could have been that. Again, instead of the 32X, maybe they should have made that hardware instead. Make that, £50 cheaper or something than buying the separate units. That would have been a great thing. I know they kind of did that with the CDX and the Multi-Mega, but I think because they shrunk it down to a small size,
too little, too late, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah. If they made like a Mega Drive Duo, so there was probably a few things they could have done. It's still great though, and I think now at the cheap price, playing CDRs, it's got those 200 extra games that you can't play any other way. Those games that we mentioned, great console. We both thoroughly recommend it. So Stu, I think we've come to the end now. So what do we talk about all the social stuff? What are they?
Find us on Twitter. Now I'm getting a bit more active on Twitter.
Big time,
So follow us on Twitter.
Regular thing, aren't we? Where you're going to throw out the questions there, and we'll get people to sort of.
Yeah. So I think that gives us a little bit more structure. So if we come out, a few days earlier and say, this week we're going to be talking about rugby games on the Game Boy. What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
What do you want to? What questions do you want to ask us? Something like that.
Yeah.
And we're not going to do one on rugby games on the Game Boy. Can you even name a rugby game on the Game Boy? FIFA.
Yeah, that's as close as you'll get, mate.
Well, exactly. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to do, and that'll just make us go, actually, we've got to talk about this because people are expecting sort of responses and stuff. So you can find us on Twitter under Console Shock UK. You can find us on YouTube under Console Shock, Facebook Console Shock, and finally you can download the podcast on iTunes and Stitcher, and just search Console Shock, you'll find us.
And of course we always have the latest show on YouTube, so always check out our Console Shock YouTube.
That's right.
So so look out for those for the next show. Also going to try and aim for a couple of weeks. We'll put a little tweet out asking for your feedback. So any questions you've got, please send them to us and we'll try and answer them on the show as we've done today. So thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.